Pronto, Vincenza.
Pronto, Randy, and welcome everyone to our Pronto Podcast, our lifestyle podcast that we talk about all the beautiful things life has to offer, whether it be fashion, inspiration, stories, you name it. We talk about it all and we enjoy it. But more importantly, we enjoy featuring all of our guests. And that's something that we truly treasure, but more so learn about, because every guest that we've had the opportunity to interview, we are learning even more about them. And also, I think this is number 42,
right?
The 42nd episode.
And we cover a lot of different focuses, right?
Correct. Right. It's very diverse, diverse. We talk about all different topics, and that's what's beautiful about it. And that's why it's called Pronto, a conversation of life. All right, let's get right into it. Best of Delaware. That's something that we're really, really excited about. As you can see, we have been nominated, which is huge. Pronto Podcast has been nominated for a Best of Delaware award. However, you have to vote. We are in the elimination round, so you have an opportunity to vote. So head over to, I believe it's DelawareToday.com. But if you just Google Best of Delaware, it will pop up voting, and you will see there. You go to your community and media local podcast and vote Pronto Podcast as your favorite podcast around. We will, we do appreciate the support and love just by putting a vote out. But more importantly, we are so thankful for all of those that have nominated us for this event. Not this event, this category, and that's something that we truly appreciate.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Oh, yes, for sure. So, Randy, what's new? How have you been?
Well, I'm loving this sunshine.
Right. I know that. Well, we're in the end of February, March, and the seasons are going to change, right? The season's going to change.
Thank God.
Yes, we are not a huge fan of the winter. However, it allows us to appreciate the warmer weather.
Yep.
So,
well said.
Anything else you would like to share?
Well, we have several events going on this weekend.
Okay. Is it this weekend?
Yes.
Yes. Wow. March. That's right. All right. Let's talk about it. Cheers to love.
Cheers to love. This DuPont wedding venue, and it's a really spectacular event. We participated last year.
I remember.
And it's really a beautiful event. And, we give tours of the salon and
beautiful. And
people they're talking about services.
Where can they find out information about Cheers to Love?
Instagram.
Okay.
Hotel DuPont.
Okay, beautiful, because it is at the iconic Hotel DuPont, for those of you who don't know and that are tuning in and may not know where Hotel DuPont, it is in the heart of Wilmington, downtown Wilmington, Delaware, and it is considered to be an iconic venue where you can host a wedding party, a celebration, or just have a dinner here or stay. Really beautiful, and I love that they have done such a great job maintaining the aesthetics of the history of Hotel DuPont. So it's really beautiful when you walk through the doors. But this event, Cheers to Love, I think is a great event that Curry Hair, Skin and Nails is a part of. And yes, I remember last year you guys did it, and you have an opportunity to not only experience and see Hotel DuPont, but also there are raffles and swag bags and complimentary champagne. So definitely check that out. But March 2nd, there's a lot going on.
Yeah. And we have a wellness event also. This is the first annual wellness event. And, we have plastic surgeons there talking about hair replacements, transplants. We have Mina, who was on the show with acupuncture, and she has a new clothing line, yoga pants. Really fun event. So far, we have 75 people coming. So really nice.
Excellent. Yeah. So just definitely check out this wellness event. There are two separate events happening on the same day. I believe, if I'm correct, the Hotel DuPont event starts at 12, and the wellness event, I think that one also is around the same time frame, but you could probably make it to both. Check out both events. Visit Curry Hair, Skin and Nails Instagram page. You'll see that we're promoting it, or Hotel DuPont for Cheers to Love, and then Curry Hair, Skin and Nails for the wellness event. But the wellness event looks like something that I would enjoy going to, because I'm all about health and wellness, and in just investing in yourself, because it's important. Remember this: you are no good to anyone else in a sense of helping others if you don't help yourself first. So the wellness event is definitely something that I could see many of your customers appreciating, but even our viewers and listeners, I'm sure they would enjoy taking advantage of the event.
It gives people an opportunity to talk one-on-one with the service providers. So it's key. Like, we have a person doing extensions, makeup. It's really going to be a fun event.
And from what I saw on that flyer, it's 20% off purchases, I believe, products and whatnot. Yep, all purchases during the event. Oh, all purchases during the event. No excuse for refreshments, live music, raffles, auctions, and 20% off all purchases. I have to see what I'm doing March 2nd. I have to check my calendar. It's a Sunday. The restaurant's closed, so I have to see if I can attend this event. This sounds like it's even right up my alley. So thank you for sharing that with us, Randy. So now that February is coming to an end, I believe that last time we spoke, we had the Valentine's Day event, which was a success. And that Valentine's Day was also a success. And for those of you who don't know what Valentine's Day is, it's the day for the gals to celebrate with your friends, the day before Valentine's Day. And we did not make up this holiday, we did not make this makeshift holiday. So it just kind of became a thing a few years ago, and we jumped on it and we're like, this is exciting. Who would have thought? And it was a success. And thank you to Curry Hair, Skin and Nails for donating a gift card.
Our pleasure.
And yes, it was definitely a hit when all of the ladies that were attending the event, they were very excited to enter the giveaway, the gift card giveaway. So it was not only Curry Hair, Skin and Nails, it was also a gift card to V&M Bistro. So it was valued at $200. So it was definitely very popular. But we'll do it again. I thought it was a great collab between both businesses.
Get beautiful and eat
well.
Right?
Yes, eat well. Very, very important. All right. Well, I have exciting news to share with all of you. So we have a new date change for the Miss Delaware USA and Miss Delaware Teen USA pageant. We decided, after careful consideration, to move the date to Sunday, June 29th, the month of June. We are very, very excited about the date change. And even Alyssa, Miss Delaware USA, and Kayla, as you can see in the pictures, Miss Delaware Teen USA, are very excited that they get to be title holders for 3 extra months now. And they are just thrilled. And they've been doing such a phenomenal job. As you can see here, this was our behind the scenes photo shoot that we had yesterday. Thanks to so many sponsors that made this happen. Photography was by Zach Romaldo, all the way from Texas.
Wow.
That's right. He's one of the official sponsors of the Miss Texas USA, Miss Texas Teen USA, and now Delaware. So we were very, very honored to have the iconic photographer, Zach Romaldo, to come all the way to Delaware to help us with the official photos for the program book and the pageant coming up in June. As you can see, Alyssa and Kayla did a phenomenal job. And thanks to Curry Hair, Skin and Nails for being a sponsor of the photo shoot. Their hair, they had Randy sent a team of people and they were phenomenal. Super, super amazing. A team of people to help the girls with their hair. We had makeup sponsorship, makeup by Kim Bassett did the makeup. And then also we had DETV sponsor the venue. And that's very important. Wow. Yes, the venue. So thank you to DETV, Ivan Thomas. We really, really appreciate that. And also, all of the other sponsors that help make that day happen. It truly takes a village, and it was a full day photo shoot. And we're so excited for the photos. Here's a little teaser of the theme.
People don't realize what goes on in a photo shoot.
No, they don't. There's so much work that happens behind the scenes, but it's exciting. I love it. I truly enjoy it. I love the excitement that's happening behind the scenes and all the work that goes into it. And yes, it is a lot of work, and it definitely takes time. But if you are passionate about it, it's fun. And I'm so passionate about photo shoots, especially for my title holders. They deserve it. They've worked so hard and they did a phenomenal job. So if you want to see more of what happened, just visit their social media pages. You can go to Miss DE USA or Miss DE Teen USA to see more behind the scenes footage. Now, if you're interested in the pageant itself and you want to follow, visit missdeusa.com and you can follow all the information. If you know someone that wants to participate, we are still accepting applications. You know someone that wants to be a part of the sisterhood, just definitely check out the website, and we're happy to answer any questions, but also sponsorships. We're always looking for sponsorships. We're so lucky that we have such a generous sponsor such as Randy from Curry Hair Skin and Nails, and so many other incredible people that make it what it is, because sponsors are the backbone of the organization. Without them, there is no pageant. There is nothing for these girls. So just know that it's all about empowering women and helping these young ladies succeed and achieve their dreams. So it's truly impactful.
Yeah, they're amazing. The young women that involved in the pageant are amazing.
That's true. That's right. You've had an opportunity to meet some of them because we've interviewed them here on our Pronto podcast. And Randy always says how dynamic, every single one of them, are. And we, he's like, wow, she's so intelligent. She's so beautiful. She's so nice. She's so accomplished. I said, yes, but guess what? There's so many of them that come together. And that's another reason why I love the pageant space, because we are all like-minded, goal-driven. We achieve, we set goals and we work hard to achieve them. And, we also enjoy glam too.
It's like an army of achievers.
It is.
Right?
It truly is. Yes, you're spot on with that. It really is. And that's why I keep pouring into the Miss Delaware USA organization, because it poured into me for so many years when I was a contestant, a volunteer, and now a director.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, being that we've had so much to catch up on, more importantly, it is time to introduce our dynamic guest. Keriann Otano is originally from Long Island, New York, and worked as a professional opera singer for a decade before transitioning into arts administration and leadership. After studying at the Conservatory of Music in Milan, Italy, Keriann trained at Indiana University and Madison, New York City, where she received her master's degree. Keriann's time on the stage included performances at Washington National Opera, at the Kennedy Center, Wolf Trap Opera, Opera Memphis, and Opera San Jose, and the Metropolitan Opera, to name a few. She recorded an album with Naxos for the Bernstein Centennial, and her 2023 opera-inspired TED Talks has garnered over 25,000 views. She now serves as the Vice President of Engagement with Opera Delaware here in Wilmington, Delaware, the 11th oldest opera company in the country. Her focus is on artist and audience advocacy. She has expanded Opera Delaware's pop-up opera model and pioneered new initiatives like a Divine Night in Delaware, which pairs opera and ballet with the historic Divine Nine, the founding sororities and fraternities at HBCUs. A frequent sought-out public speaker, Keriann has lectured and served on panels on the arts across the nation, and her Marketplace interview with NPR was broadcast in October 2024. Keriann is an alum of the 2023 class of Leadership Delaware and an incoming cohort member of Sphinx Lead 2025, a highly competitive national cohort of BIPIC arts leaders. Please welcome the Keriann Otano.
Hi. Oh my goodness.
Wow, you are so accomplished.
I feel like you just read a book. Do you need a glass of water? That was a lot. I need to cut that bad boy down. That's a little obnoxious.
No, you deserve that. I said it, I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay, should I shorten this? Nope. Everyone needs to know how accomplished you are. Let me help them. Let me help you remind them, because you've worked so hard and trained so long to be where you are today. And for anybody that may not know the space that you're in when it comes to opera, it's not something that you just wake up and decide to do overnight.
Oh my goodness, no.
Years, maybe decades of training to get to the level that you are at. And you have done that and you continue to do that. And now you're pouring back into a space that poured into you, just like I had quoted earlier about the pageant space, the opera space. And yes. I know that you are I think you have brought life back into Opera Delaware. I have to say this. For those of you who don't know, I've had the opportunity to know Keriann for quite some time, Randy, and I have had the honor of interviewing her quite a couple of times and learning about her story and what she's doing to Opera Delaware here in Wilmington, Delaware.
Well, look at the smile.
Oh yes. Well, but that energy, that tenacity is what is helping Opera Delaware continue to thrive. And that's what you're doing. And we'd love to hear, more about you and what you're doing for Opera Delaware. So before we go there, because I think it's important we share with all of our viewers and listeners about, your background in opera and why, what brought you to the opera space in the beginning?
Yeah. Well, it's such a great question. I was actually really thinking as you were talking about your pageant experience and kind of pouring back into something that poured into you. So when I was a kid, I was a big shticky ham musical theater kid. I love to be on stage. Give me a microphone, give me some tap shoes. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to put on a show. And when I was in high school, I was singing in a musical and I was belting, like singing very musical theater style. But when the chorus would sing, I would sing the high soprano part. And after the show, this woman in the audience came up to me and she said, I hear you. I think you should learn about opera. And I'm in public school. Okay. I'm like, I don't know who you're talking to. I don't know opera. Because in my mind, opera was something that you were born into. It was something that you started learning from birth that was just like in your blood. I thought it was, I, like so many Americans, had a very particular idea in my head of what opera was and who opera was for. And so to meet this woman who was such an advocate and such a warm and joyful representative of this art form, she brought my family to her home. She would play us albums. She became my voice teacher. Her wife became my piano teacher. She helped connect me with my Rotary Club. And that's how I got to go on, this exchange program and study at the Conservatory of Music in Milan. This one woman and her advocacy changed the trajectory of my life. And that's what I feel like my role is now as the Vice President of Engagement with Opera Delaware, is to kind of spark this passion in young people, to show people that opera is a place for all of us, that this idea we have in our head that limits us, it's not the reality. We can make opera what we want it to be. And so I'm so grateful to have had someone come into my life and show me that not only did I have a place in opera, but that my voice was important in opera and my presence was important in it. And I hope to do that for other people.
Oh my goodness. I had a feeling that's how it all started, right? That's usually what it was. And it's so good that you're able to dive into that space and really pursue your dreams in the world of opera, because I was sharing with Randy. I was like, Randy, have you ever heard her sing? Keriann's voice is so dynamic, so strong, so passionate. I mean, you want to silence a room? Keriann, start singing. Everyone. Yep, that's what you do. It's almost like
this is one of the things that I love most about opera, though, because our tagline here at Opera Delaware is big voice energy. Mm-hmm. Opera singers have big voice energy, right? Because typically we sing with no microphone, unamplified, over a full orchestra. And one of the things that I take from this, beyond just what we do on the stage, is that opera singers are amazing advocates. We have amazing control over our voices, and we have something to say. And so a thing that I've been really proud of with Opera Delaware here is that we are really on the forefront of changing this idea that to be an artist, you have to be a starving artist. Have you heard this phrase before? Starving artist? Mm-hmm, isn't that like, and it's the reason that people warn their kids, don't study art in college. Right. You're going to be a starving artist. The arts is such a fulfilling path. And it breaks my heart that so many people deny themselves that opportunity, even just to be curious about it, even just to participate in the arts in high school, even if you're not going to be a professional artist, but everything you can learn from being in theater, being in choir, about collaborating, about being creative, about having a yes and approach to things so that you can adapt when things go wrong on stage. The show must go on. There's so much we learn by being in the arts. And I really want to advocate for that here in Delaware, that like this should be a place where the arts are fostered and loved. We've brought in these artists to be a part of our company artist model here at Opera Delaware, where they're employed by the company. And so this completely challenges this idea of being a starving artist. These are our 4 company artists currently. They get to program work with us. They get to sing the music that they want to sing, tell the stories that they want to tell, engage with our schools, present pop-up opera, travel all across the state, and really make Delaware their home and have that same kind of impact that woman had on me when I was a kid, right? So it's not just being freelance and living out of a suitcase and bouncing from city to city. It's really a home base for artists where they can embed themselves in this beautiful community and see how our community will grow from the impact of having artists in it. So I'm so proud of this program and so proud of these 4 young artists these 4 company artists who are taking this chance with us and really diving into something that's never existed before in the United States.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And I really appreciate that you touched on this about the starving artist phrase. And I'm so glad that you are advocating for all the artists, but also the industry, that you can be a successful artist, an opera singer. This is a space that you should be in. And I love that you're saying that and you're highlighting that, because that is true. There is that stigma around that phrase. And I agree with you. I took opera classes before. I took lessons before. I have been to the opera. My sister studied opera in Italy for 2 summers. I've been around that space, and we own a restaurant.
Yeah.
And so but the skills that you learn in the opera world, in the opera space, you can apply them in any career that you do, or any dream. It doesn't have to be an opera singer. I did not grow up saying I wanted to be an opera singer when, I didn't say that, but I learned skills that they don't teach in school. And they don't teach in any type of culinary school, even though I'm not a chef. But I'm just saying that just being in the space that I'm in, being able to think quickly on your feet, being able to adapt. The show must go on. We talk about this all the time. It's showtime. Every time we start dinner service at the restaurant, my sister and I look at each other. And we're like, okay, it's showtime. This is what we train for.
Gotta give them that old razzle dazzle,
Right, exactly. But it's true. And I am so happy that you are the one that's advocating for opera and the education behind it and what it does to so many people and the benefits of it. Now you've transitioned from as a professional opera singer to arts administration and leadership. So now I know you're excited about this role at Opera Delaware. So let's talk about your role there and how many years and what you've done so far. Let's touch on that, because I know about it, but I want everyone to know about it, including Randy.
There's so much joy in this position. There's so much, I'm grateful for so much, but I wanted to share that this position and my transition into arts administration came out of kind of a very low point in my life, which is that when I was singing at the Metropolitan Opera, which I thought was just the pinnacle, I thought it was like, this is the goal, this is the dream come true. I mentally was really struggling. Opera singers and freelance artists, I blame this starving artist mentality for so much of this, that we think that if artists are suffering, they make better art. And that justifies that many artists, the majority, don't have health insurance, don't have the opportunity to pursue mental health care in any capacity. And when I was singing at the Met, I felt deeply isolated. I felt like I can't tell anyone this insecurity, this fear that I'm having, this self-doubt, because then I'm not worthy of this stage.
Wow.
And as I was coming out of that, as I was, going to the Met every day, crying and hyperventilating on the train, heading into work, given them that razzle dazzle, the show must go on. But
Mhm.
going home and feeling really broken, after I finished at that gig, I was heading back to San Jose in California to do a year-long contract with that company where I was going to sing the lead in 4 shows across their season. It's an amazing, amazing opportunity. But I couldn't sing without crying. Something had fundamentally broken in me. My confidence had been like shattered. And it wasn't that the Met treated me badly. It's that the way that it is to be an artist, the isolation and the perfection that is expected of artists is not conducive to long-term mental health. So I told the people at Opera San Jose, I'm going to have to quit. I can't do this for you.
Mm.
And they said, if you leave here, do you have health insurance? Because they knew the reality of our industry. And at Opera San Jose, they provided health insurance. And they said, do you have health insurance? I said, no. And they said, well, then we're not going to have you leave in crisis. We're going to
Mm.
figure out how to
Wow.
pivot. So what they did was they had me work in administration for the first 2 months. They had me start my health insurance, start therapy, take care of myself. And then they said, we'll assess in 2 months if you think you can keep going, but we're not going to kick you out when you need us.
Mm.
And that, for me, that's what brought me here ultimately, because that showed me what arts administrators can do, the impact that we can have on the lives of one another, the way that we can take care of each other as an industry. I didn't know that that was possible. And now that I am, the adult in the room and the adult in these conversations, I want to keep fighting for this, because that, like that woman who came into my life and showed me that I had a space in opera, those people giving me that opportunity and saying, we're going to take care of you, changed my life. I fundraised more for that opera company. I advocated more. I sold more tickets to the show. I was more involved in the community because they took care of me. So I took care of them. I don't think there are better advocates for the arts than artists. And we need to be taking care of them as an industry. So that was kind of from a sad beginning. A lot of inspiration came from that. I created a survey online. I was just getting all these messages from artists saying, I'm also having these issues with anxiety, with depression, with fear, with I don't know what to do about it. And so I created a survey online. Over 500 singers participated in this from across the country and across all different levels of people who are working at the Met, people who are brand new, coming right out of college. And I asked if they had experienced any of the clinical symptoms of anxiety and depression. I just listed them. I asked if they had sought mental health care. It was just kind of an anonymous inquiry. And over 90% of artists had suffered the defined symptoms of anxiety and depression, and less than a third had done any mental health work. And that really was the incubator of this idea of we are validating this idea of being a starving artist, of being a suffering artist. We're participating in it. We're allowing ourselves to continue suffering, even though we know we need help. And that sent me on a tirade of I have to go across the nation. I have to provide artists with free and low-cost healthcare options so that they can get mental health care. I need to be providing books and resources because it's not just me, it's all of us. And once you kind of come to the other side of a crisis for yourself, the first thing that you should do is turn around and see who's behind you and needs a hand up.
Yeah.
Right. No, and I appreciate that you sharing that with us, because it's important that people understand that mental health is really, really important, no matter what space you're in, no matter what industry you're in. And you're right. You said it so perfectly earlier when you're an opera singer, you have to be perfect at all times. And that's high pressure.
Right.
Yes.
High pressure. No mistakes are allowed, right? No mistakes.
No mistakes.
That's not,
no mistakes.
That's not really real, right? We're human. We make mistakes.
Yes, Chenza, that's exactly right. We are human and we make mistakes, and people connect to people. People don't connect to perfection. And that's the other thing, that when I'm trying to change this perception of opera, I'm trying to kind of open up people's perception of opera. It's getting to know opera singers that is the key. It's getting to know, the complexity, the joy and love that we pull into it, the mistakes we make, the fun of it. the chaos of it.
That's
Like,
right.
that's what makes people fall in love with it. It's not perfection. And for a long time, we as artists were sold that you are essentially a vessel. We're not a vessel. We're an artist. We are a creator. Our voice and our life story has impact to the way that we connect with audiences and the way that we perform. So I think we're kind of in a new age for how artists are, I think, being empowered to, to really harness their own stories
Mhm.
and use it and channel it to connect with audiences.
Right.
Thank
Right.
you.
No.
Thank you.
Through us having, talking and having our conversation, we've had quite a few people that are tuning in and watching that are asking questions, and I really want to get to that because I think
I
it's
love
important.
it.
We're very thankful for the viewers and listeners. But let's just start with the one that's right on the screen. Do you think most artists are dealing with previous trauma?
Michael, thank you so much. That's a great and heavy question, isn't it? I
Mhm.
think that a lot of us are dealing with, a lot of us just as people are dealing with trauma. We're dealing with things that we keep kind of buried. I think in particular, when we're talking about artists, this idea of perfection and this idea that if you suffer and you starve, remember, what was it? Picasso cut his ear off, right? He's iconic for it, right? So this idea that if you suffer, your art's going to be better. So I think that a lot of artists are dealing with trauma that they are not trying to resolve, because the idea is that if you have this trauma, if you suffer, you're going to make better art. And in my opinion, I don't think that's even true. I think that if you are suffering, then you make safe art. You make art from a place of fear. I think if you feel supported by a community, if you feel supported and confident in your own mental health and the way that you're taking care of yourself, then you make art from a place of joy and love. And that is a different quality and a different level of sustainability of that art.
Right. I think it comes down to putting yourself in a space where you feel supported.
Mhm.
And it's okay if it's hard. I'm a firm believer that, it's okay if something is hard, because if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. So
Yeah.
hard is okay. I think it's
Art
learning
is great.
when something is hard, it's learning to embrace it and say, okay, this is a challenge for me. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to work hard to get through it or achieve my personal goals and dreams. But I think the support system and the resources is what helps navigate that challenge. And I know that you at Opera Delaware offer education, resources, support. And I think that's incredible what you're doing at Opera Delaware. And I want to touch on the few other questions that our guests and viewers have also listed. So here's one: What is a pop up? What is pop up opera? That's a good one. And how does that work?
Pop-up opera was born sort of during the pandemic when we couldn't perform inside. We perform at the Grand Opera House. We do our main stage operas there with full orchestra, talent from across the country, a full chorus. I mean, it is phenomenal what we're able to do in the Opera House. But when we couldn't be there for years, we had to figure out how can we continue to connect with our audiences. And so what started as just a little trailer being driven around, it was like a little flatbed that was attached to a truck, and they would have opera singers perform on the back of it. It started attracting a lot of people. People would come and they would come back to parking lots, to parks, to community centers, to these outdoor spaces where we were performing. And because it was such an engagement tool, we invested in a mobile opera stage. So we have a beautiful red mobile opera stage that we cart behind this gorgeous blue Opera Delaware van that has pictures of our artists all over it. This was provided for us by Carver Ties that did this incredible van wrap for us. And so we take this mobile opera stage across the state, and it's like an hour-long performance with an MC, with a prize wheel, with a t-shirt cannon, really challenging this idea of opera is kind of prim and proper and stuffy. No, opera is participatory. We want you interacting. When you hear something amazing, I want bravo. I want you to shout, let them hear you. Opera is alive. That's the difference between opera and when you watch someone perform and they're lip syncing, or when you watch a movie. This is a live thing that only exists right here in this moment, and you as an audience are part of it. So pop-up opera is really about empowering the audience to be an active participant in the opera, and kind of dismantling this idea that opera is inaccessible, confusing, right? Like, we provide the translations for all the pieces. We talk to you a little bit about the plot of the opera, about what the characters are like. For example, we'll often do Musetta's aria from La Bohème. And if I was just to say to you, this next aria is Quando men vo, maybe a third of people know what Quando men vo is. Maybe that's being perhaps generous. A handful of people will know what Quando men vo is. But when I say, this girl walked into a bar and saw her ex-boyfriend hanging out with his friends, and he's not looking at her or giving her any attention. So she sings this aria where she says, every time I walk down the street, from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, I know you all want me, and you want me the most. We all know that girl. And then to hear the aria, it makes sense, right? So it's finding the way to describe it so that it resonates with people. And you're absolutely right, Sandy. And thank you for pointing out that it was not Picasso, but Van Gogh who cut off his ear. I definitely have found my passion. My passion is empowering artists and showing audiences that and you are going to feel this. You're going to understand it. And you're going to feel this. I've met so many audiences who feel like they who say to me, opera's just not for me. These are people, they could be highly educated. They could be bus drivers. They could be elementary school teachers. These are people in our community who are having a huge impact, and who feel like, for whatever reason, opera is not for them. And I think it's our fault. I think we as an industry have made it seem elitist and boring and pretentious, and like, if you clap at the wrong time, we're going to give you a dirty look, and you're not wearing the right clothes, they're not fancy enough. None of that stuff is the reality of opera, especially not at Opera Delaware. Especially not at Opera Delaware.
I'm so glad you mentioned
in
that.
the early 90s, I was lucky enough to see Pavarotti, the Rainforest concert.
Wow.
Like Sting, Elton John, Tammy Wynette. There was like 20, and I was sitting near Howard Stern, and it was so beautiful. Like, it was so beautiful to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, that's a treat.
Yeah.
Pavarotti.
Yes.
That's really a treat. Okay, do you have a favorite opera? I think that was the last question out of all the questions right now. I want to make sure I get them all.
Have a favorite? Well, that's tricky because they're sort of in different categories. I would say my favorite opera that made me kind of fall in love with the classical style of opera was, I would say, almost anything by Puccini, but probably the key was Madame Butterfly. I just love Madame Butterfly. I love the musical writing of it. I think it's so brilliant that when Puccini was writing Madame Butterfly, he's writing about this woman in Japan, and there was a lot of fascination with Japanese culture at the time, and he had gotten a music box. And so he's incorporating these Japanese melodies, these traditional melodies. He studied like all of this history and lore about Japan and about the people there. And in telling the story, it's an opera that is sung in Italian about a Japanese woman and an American man who fall in love and get married. But the language barrier between them and the cultural differences between them are so fascinating. So I've seen recently this production of Madame Butterfly where they updated the language. And I don't want to offend you, Vincenza, because I know how much we love Italian, and you know I love Italian. But at this production in California, they updated it so that all of the characters that were supposed to be of Japanese descent sing in Japanese. They had it all translated, and all the characters who sing in English, who are American characters, sing in English. And what I loved about this concept is that opera, the purpose of opera, I think the vitality of opera is that it's ever evolving, right? That it's not just stuck in the way that the composer wrote it. The composer wrote it and gave us this gift, and then it's for us to interpret and give it to audiences. And so I love the challenges that classical opera presents. I love that, in a lot of classical operas, there's problematic material that happens. There are things that there's assault, there's violence against women. There are things that we need to talk about. And for a while, there was an insistence in the opera industry that maybe we need to put those works away. I don't think so. I think we need to talk about them more. I think we need to have like bold conversations about why this work matters. What was the composer trying to say then? And what are we trying to say now with this music? So I love taking older pieces and finding ways to make them resonate with contemporary audiences. And then I love the wave of new American operas that are happening here in America. There's a new opera that we're premiering at Opera Delaware called Fearless that's coming this spring.
Yeah, I was reading about that. Tell us about that. I'm excited to hear about this.
So this is a contemporary composer. His name is Derek Wang. And he wrote this opera about the life of Hazel Ying Lee, who was the first Chinese-American woman to receive a pilot's license and fly for the U.S. military. She was one of the original members of the Women Air Force Service Pilots, the WASPs. You can ask the folks down at Dover Air Force Base. They know all about her legacy. But he wrote an opera about this woman. What greater way to honor your heroes than to write an opera about them, first of all. I mean, it's just spectacular.
It's an honor, definitely.
But the fact that opera is the medium. Opera is not just something that existed 200 years ago and then stopped. Opera is alive because of composers and librettists, or the people who write the text of operas, and singers and conductors and the artists who bring it to life. I love that my love of opera is not tied to one time period, but can be so expansive as opera continues to grow and evolve.
That's really exciting. So the Fearless, the premiere opera of Fearless is happening in Wilmington at Opera Delaware on, is it May 16th? Am I right with the date?
That's right. May 16th and 18th at the Grand Opera House.
Okay. So how can one find out more information? Where do they go?
Well, there's so much to find out about. And if you noodle around on Opera Delaware's website, operade.org, you can see a variety of performances that we offer. Free pop-up opera performances that are available across the state. Our next one is going to be at Dogfish Head in Rehoboth, where they're making a new signature beer for us called Fearless Hazel in honor of this woman. In honor of this world premiere opera and Hazel Ying Lee. We're doing a pop-up opera performance for free at their Rehoboth location on March 5th. We also have studio performances here at the Opera Delaware Studios, cabarets and recitals that are curated by our company artists. The next one of those that is coming up, there's Dane Suarez, one of our 4 fabulous company artists. This was him as the Duke in Rigoletto in our main stage production in 2023. Dane is one of our company artists to be involved in this recital that we're doing this coming weekend on Saturday at the Opera Delaware Studios. Maybe a handful of tickets to that still exist because that has been selling like crazy. But it is artist curated by Dane, Tony Marie, Emily, and Gerard, our 4 company artists. That's Emily as Musetta, the girl who sang Quandam and Vo in La Boheme, trying to get everybody's attention around the room. She did an excellent job with that.
This is Miss Delaware USA photo.
And Miss Delaware USA. And you know what? I need a sash. I've been telling you I need a sash, and I don't know what I need to do to convince you to get me a sash. Just that says Opera Hype Girl would be great.
Opera Hype Girl. I love that. But that is so true. That is who you are. Opera Hype Girl, and it's the perfect title for you. And I know that I know that you have so many connections, obviously, in the opera space, but also the performing arts, and you know so many dynamic people. And through all the opportunities and the times that I've had the opportunity to interview Keriann or see her at events, she's always bringing so many great people to Delaware. And that's something else that people need to know, that you, because of your advocacy and because of what you're doing for Opera Delaware, you're driving people from all around the country and world to Delaware. And anybody that knows me knows that we need to bring people here, because that not only is helping the opera space, but it's helping small businesses. It's helping all the small businesses on Market Street, because Opera Delaware, the Grand Opera House, is right on Market Street, right in the heart of downtown Wilmington, 2 blocks from Hotel DuPont, which we were talking about earlier, actually 2 blocks from this location where we host our Pronto podcast, right here at the DuPont location of Curry Hair, Skin and Nails. And it's beautiful what you're doing, because every time you are bringing people here, every time you talk about opera, every time there's an opportunity, you're bringing people and talent, not just people, talented people from all around here to perform at the Grand Opera House and to share their gifts and their talent and their voice and their passion. And I was saying to Randy, I was like, if you ever heard Keriann sing, I mean, it's...
Come on, Carrie, let's hear.
Listen,
couple notes.
I know. I have read poor Gary. Did you vote?
I thought I saw someone in the comments ask if you would sing. I think it's your turn.
I can't sing.
No, Randy passes.
I really think about it like, since I moved here 2.5 years ago to Delaware when I started at this job, and I am so enamored with this state and with the people of this state. But one of the things that kind of broke my heart when people would tell me all the great things about living in Delaware, they would say, our sales tax, our beaches, Winterthur, they would tell me all these great things. And they would say, and if you want arts and culture, you can just get to Philly, or you can get down to DC, or we're 2 hours from New York. We're outsourcing our arts and culture. We're giving away our identity as a state if we do that, instead of investing in it. And what I love about this company artist model is that it attracts these artists here to be a part of our community, and then ups the ante, ups the game on what we're able to produce and present, so that you as Delawareans do not need to leave the first state to experience art that is of an incredibly high quality. That's what we're bringing to you.
Thank you.
We have a playhouse right here.
Yeah.
The DuPont building.
Yes. The Queen right up the street. Yeah. So many beautiful venues for the performing arts, and not, obviously opera more importantly, but so many incredible venues for the performing arts. And you're right. Why outsource it to nothing against Philadelphia and DC. I just feel like we should be bringing people here, invest in the state, bring people here, keep them here. You're also helping the neighborhoods, the small businesses, the restaurants. I'm a huge believer in that. People bring people. Business brings business. I say that all the time. So let's continue to invest in our state. And you are doing that, Keriann. So thank you for continuing your advocacy, continuing educating those around us in the, not just in the opera space, but outside the opera space, because that's what you're doing. You're telling someone that, hey, this is cool. Come on over here, hang out. It's not like only the elitists or only for a certain type of person to be interested in opera. You're making it cool. Yeah. Just say
thank you.
Opera cool.
It is cool. Collaboration and creating art with people is so cool. It's so dope to be around, people who have poured so much energy and passion into this expertise, into like learning all this history. It makes me so, I'm like you, Chenza. I could sit and listen to people talk about their passion all day. I want to hear what you're excited about. And that's what working in the arts allows me to do, to just be surrounded by people who are passionate about costume design, who are passionate about conducting orchestra and bringing these stories back to life. There are so many artists, not just the ones you see on stage, but so many artists who are involved in making an opera happen.
That's awesome. Keriann, as I'm looking at the time and I'm like, oh my goodness, we're running out of time already. Keep talking. And I know that Keriann could keep going too. Was there anything that you wanted to mention or say that we did not touch on? If there's a need for Opera Delaware, if you're looking for something specific, I wanted to make sure that we got that out there to all of our viewers and listeners.
So I would first say, thank you so much for creating this platform and for allowing me to come on here and talk to all of your listeners. Really, Opera Delaware is the 11th oldest opera company in the country. This is a legacy that we take a lot of responsibility for. But we are reinventing and reimagining what opera can mean, not just to the first date, but to the entire country. And so I want to encourage you to visit our website, visit operade.org, and see when you can see us perform live. There is nothing better. There is no amount of words that I could say. There is no amount of smiles I can throw at you that would compare to you hearing these artists perform live. And there are free and low cost opportunities. There are fancy events like our upcoming Divine Night in Delaware on March 20th. That is an evening of elegance with the opera and First Day Ballet Theater. You have to experience little vignette style performances from both of us. But first you get to walk the red carpet runway for professional paparazzi photographers. Okay. You get to have a glass of champagne. You can go to the VIP Speakeasy Lounge. That is a fancy, highfalutin, an excellent, great date night.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of different variety. So I also don't want you to think of opera as just one thing. We have a lot that we offer. And coming up during Do More 24, we're going to have 2 live segments. So if you follow us on social media, on Facebook, you'll get prompted when we go live to enjoy a watch party that the artists are going to be hosting, and then a Hot One style chicken wings game. We're going to do a little truth or dare with our artists. So you can get to know these fabulous little singers beyond just the talent that they bring to our stages, but also them as people, because they're remarkable. So I hope that you will check out our website. I hope that you will look up what we do with pop-up opera and see how we can come to your community, see how we can come to your children's school. And I hope that you will check out Fearless and all of our upcoming programming over the next few months. That's going to be really exceptional.
That's amazing. Wow. Thank you so much for that. And yes, definitely check out Opera Delaware, everyone. I highly recommend it. And I love that it's for all ages too, right? It's not just, the Opera Delaware is not just for adults, all ages. I'm sure there are certain operas that the little ones may not be allowed to go to, but their opera is offered for all ages. All right. So Keriann, now that we have come to the end of this amazing interview / conversation, because that's really what it's all about. We always ask our guests a traditional question. So we are going to ask you the question, and it is, if you could chat with anyone from the past or present on a podcast, who would it be and why?
I really love this question. And I feel like day to day, I could have different answers, but I'm going to go a little sentimental today. And I'm going to say that if I could go on a podcast, what I've been feeling recently is I would love to tell my mom and my grandma about all that we've built here. They were such supporters of me. And I remember looking out in the audience and seeing my grandma's big old glasses. She would bring her little tape recorder. You're not allowed to record. You're not allowed to tape record opera performances. She would bring a tape recorder. She was like, don't worry about it. She's fine. It's my granddaughter. I would love to sit down with them and talk to them about everything that their love for me and support allowed me to do. Oh, sorry. But, I would love to give them their flowers, because I wouldn't be where I am without them.
That's right. Wow. And that's where you credit them for where you are today. And I'm sure that they are both very proud of you and what you continue to do for the opera space. So, Keriann, thank you. Thank you for your spirit. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your heart. And anybody that is blessed to be in the same room as you, they truly, it's a treat. It always is a treat. And every time I see Keriann in the room, I'm like, oh, this is where you want to be.
It's going to be a good night. That's how you know it's going to be a good night.
It's such a great way. Well, Keriann, thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your passion for opera. And we wish you so much continued success as you continue to advocate for the opera space and the opera singers, and educate and support, because they are very lucky to have you. They're very fortunate to have you. So again, good luck with everything. And we hope to see you. We have to go to the opera now, Randy.
Yeah, I'm going.
Let's go.
We'll see you at the next show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Take care, Keriann. Isn't she amazing?
That's great. Yeah.
Isn't she amazing? Yeah. And it's true. Every time I go to an event or I'm going somewhere and I see Keriann Otano in the room, we're lucky. We're very, very fortunate because it's her energy, it's her heart.
Yeah, you can see it.
Oh, it's her personality. There's just so much joy. You want that in your life, and Opera Delaware is so lucky to have her. And I'm sure that they know that, and I'm sure that they are very appreciative of that, and they value her. And you can tell that they do because of what she's doing for them and how she advocates for the brand in different scenarios, whether she's at a special event, she's on television, a podcast. So she's just a wonderful spirit. I feel very lucky to know her myself.
Yeah, I'm blessed to having the chance to get to know her.
Yes.
Really
so we're going to the opera.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna.
I think that's
we're gonna go
fun
out to eat
do.
We're gonna go out to eat and then go to the opera. Yes.
Yeah. Go to V&M.
Yep.
Bistro.
Right. We'll get a good meal at V&M Bistro, and then we'll make our way to downtown Wilmington and to the Grand, and we'll go see it.
The Grand is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So you've been inside? Yes.
Yeah.
I have had the opportunity to see quite a few different shows and performances, not just opera, but outside of the opera space, in the performing arts, obviously, but even a pageant. So I think it was years ago, Mrs. Delaware pageant used to be held there.
Oh, really?
So I've seen competitions, talent shows, musicians. They've had so many different performances at the Grand Opera House, comedians, I believe. So there's definitely a variety of what they offer, but more importantly, opera is something that, you have to experience at least once in your life. It's emotional. It definitely captures you in a different way. And I love it. I love it. And the first time I went to the opera, I was touched.
Yeah.
So, and Randy and I were talking about this before we started filming. In the Italian culture, opera is definitely significant. Many famous operas are in Italian. So growing up in the Italian culture, I was exposed to it at such a young age. The arts is respected in the Italian culture and embraced. Every time I would go to visit my family in Italy, they would have opera singers singing in the piazza and all around the cafes, and everyone is enjoying an espresso or just whatever it may be, a cornetto, which is like a croissant, or a pastry, or a gelato, and watching, a live performance right in the piazza, right in the center of the towns. And that's very common throughout Italy. So I was exposed to that at such a young age. So to me, I think opera is beautiful. It's classy and it's cool. I know Keriann will appreciate that. It's definitely cool. But another great show, Randy.
Yeah. 42.
That's right. Another great show, having the opportunity to showcase some influential and talented people in the community. And it's truly something that we are honored to do here at Pronto. And we thank all of you for joining us. If you're interested in being a guest on our show, you can visit our website for more information, and also our Instagram page. We're very active on Instagram. You can see all of our previous guests and listen to their shows. You can go to their PRONTOPodcast.com. That's right. There it is. If you're interested in being a guest, check out the website. It also lists all of our previous guests we've had on the show, and learn something new, because every single one has a story. Every single guest has a story. Yes, that's inspiring. And we've learned so much every single time we have a new guest on our show. But we're also looking for sponsors. So if you're interested in sponsoring a segment of our Pronto podcast, definitely reach out. We're always looking for different businesses to feature, different products to feature. We always talk about all the beauty products that Curry Hair, Skin, and Nails offers at all 5 of their locations. So we definitely love talking about the products, but also if there's something, I think last time we talked about the hairbrush, Ergo hairbrushes. I love my Ergo hairbrush. Yeah, it's phenomenal. So we always like to talk about different products and whatnot.
We tend to talk about beauty and food.
Yes.
And hair.
Yes. Yes. We talk about all the beautiful things life has to offer. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone.
And don't forget to vote, right?
Yes, that's right. Okay, vote. Don't forget, go to Best of Delaware or just Google Best of Delaware, Delaware Today magazine. This is hosted by Delaware Today magazine here in Delaware, and you can vote for us. We are in the category of Best Podcast, local podcast. Vote Pronto Podcast. That's Randy and I, and we'd be so happy for your support. But also, thank you so much for recognizing us, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
Pronto, Randy.
Pronto, Vincenzo.